welcome to Tolleson-Mack podcast. This podcast is brought to you today by Flint Farms and with our special guest, Trey Yates. What do you know about Flint Farms?
They got premium hay. That is the route to go when it comes to alfalfa, Bermuda, any mix.
Really?
I'm all
Chad's
in.
the guy then.
He's the guy.
He's the guy you call.
Yeah, I know that guy.
You
The
know
hay
him?
guy.
Yeah, I heard of him.
I guarantee you with that little plug right there for me and Trey, you're getting a better Christmas present. I know that.
Yes, sir.
So what's up, Trey? How are you?
I'm doing so good. How you guys doing?
Oh, man, we're doing good. We're first generation podcasters, so we just kind of let it roll.
I like it, yeah.
We got nothing, but as far as generations, why don't you give us a little background on your generational cowboy and team roping family?
Yeah, I guess I'm a third generation team roper, cowboy. My grandfather, he rodeoed back in the day. He started out, he rode bucking horses and roped calves through college and amateur rodeoing in the state of Colorado, and team tied a lot. And then my dad and my Aunt Kelly came along and raised them up riding horses and rodeoing, and then they started team roping, and him and my dad team roped for several years together, 13 years at the NFR, and my aunt made it several times, maybe I say several, 4 times, I think, in the barrel race. And then, of course, my dad's cousin, Jay Lynn, he made the NFR a couple times in the team roping, and my grandpa kind of helped him get his career started as well. And then I came along, I guess, and my grandpa and my grandma hauled me junior rodeoing for several years. I started roping about the age of 11 and decided it was what I wanted to do. Maybe about the time I was 14, I got pretty serious about it and haven't looked back since. It's been a good ride.
So the Yates family definitely doesn't have to use GPS in Vegas.
No,
You guys are there enough. You know where everything is.
yeah. They actually went several times in Oklahoma City before it moved, and I think my granddad maybe only roped twice in Vegas. And then, of course, he was the team roping director for several years right then, and maybe after he
Oh, that's pretty cool.
quit rodeoing full time. He was actually the one who, this might make a lot of people upset, but he was the one who enforced the crossfire rule several years ago. And a lot of funny stories about that, old rodeo stories. But anyway, no, it's been fun, and we get to look back and laugh on a lot of good times. And in fact, Cesar and I were doing it a minute ago, and it's I haven't necessarily fulfilled what I want to do yet in my career by any means, but I can thank guys like him right here that have given me opportunities at a young age to try and rope for big money and put yourself in positions to win. It's been a lot of fun.
Cesar, why don't you tell us that story? We were talking.
Man.
We kind of touched on it a little bit before we got on camera.
It was awesome when I first met him. It was about, I guess he was about 11 or 12 years old. I showed up at Pueblo at the rodeo there, and he would always come say hello and come talk, and we'd bullshit for a little while. And he said that he was, I guess it was about, how old were you when we roped at U.S. finals?
Maybe about 14.
Yeah. He come to me about that time. He says, "Hey,
You got the Peyton Bray going on.
I do, man. I'm gonna have to slip my lid off. There we go.
He said, "Hey, you want to rope at the U.S. finals?" And I told him, "Yeah, for sure." I didn't.
He was
didn't
11.
even think twice. But I know he's 14.
14.
But I met him when he was about 11
Oh,
over
okay.
at the rodeos, and we'd always talk. And this one time he said, "Hey, I'd like to rope at the U.S. finals," and I said, "Yep, no problem. Let's do it." And man, he called me about a month before the books were going to close, and you really want to rope? I said, "Oh yeah." I knew he was going
How
to.
exciting was that for you at 14?
Man, like I said earlier, I guess I was quote unquote dominantly a header at the time, but I was infatuated with heeling, and Cesar was just like most kids' idol at the time. I mean, he had the flashy looking horses, the big loop, he was aggressive and had a style with pizzazz to it, you could say. And
The it factor.
yeah. And it was like, man, like to get to rope with that. And, at a young age, he was very kind to me. All the guys always spoke to me. I spoke to everybody and was infatuated with their talents and didn't get to be around them a lot. But, like like I talked about Chad Masters one day, you know, when he asked me as a young kid, how you doing? He meant it. And Cesar was the same way, you know, and he meant it with his heart when he told me he wanted to rope with me. And it was just special, you know?
That's cool.
Well, you know, JD, his dad, has always been real good to me too. He's always said hello and, you know, real respectful, and I've always admired him, you know, especially being the youngest guy at the NFR healing. It's like, man, that guy's the man, you know. So when Trey come around there, I'd show him the same respect his dad showed me. So
That's cool.
It's just the camaraderie you have in the rodeo circle. But you know, he asked me to rope, and I knew he was going to be on something special, you know. And what was that horse's name?
Buster. It was a horse
Buster.
that my dad had won. He won the average at the NFR, the average at the Steer Open National Finals, won the BFI on him. He was one of a kind.
He was such a nice horse and extremely fast. He scored really good. And I was telling Trey, man, like, he would leave before me, and I thought surely he's going to break the barrier. And you know, the healing barrier is a faster start, and I, you know, being a healer, I wasn't going to break the barrier, but like he would take a championship start like an open header, and we got a good callback in the short go. I think we were high callback.
Fourth.
And these steers that we had were blasting out of the chute, like they were runners, and we were making 6-second runs on them. We were just making some really nice runs, and especially the head horse. I've always felt like you're healing behind the head horse everywhere you go nowadays. Like, it depends on what kind of head horse the header's on, because if the header's riding right horse, we're going to win. And he was sharp that day, scoring sharp, roping sharp. The short go steer, he just checked up just a little bit and kind of stepped into him as he was delivering. You know, that the pressure situation, we got to make a good run in the short go, and yeah, just part of it. But I've always put a lot of pressure on myself and I don't like to see a guy upset, especially when he ropes with me. I'm always kind of the guy that I'm going to build you back up. You know what I mean? Like this, this ain't going to be the last time we're going to rope again. And so you know, his head was down. I'm like, man, it'll be all right. We're going to rope again. Like, especially as good as we roped today, man, we're going to do some good one day. So I give him a big hug, you know what I mean? He was like, man, he still to this day, he talks about it. He's like, man, it meant a lot, just because, you know, I thought you're going to be mad at me. I'm like, no, man. Yeah. That was fun. When I have fun roping with people like that, it's just like, I never get mad at my headers. Yeah. That was kind of my rule back in the day.
The last roping we entered, we won third at over there in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You were telling us that same story, and it was like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
yeah, it really was. I mean, that was, you know, I was 3 years into my roping career at that time, and that was my first chance ever for big money, you know. And then just knowing that if I catch the cow, I'm gonna get paid, and then to not catch the cow, it was disheartening. But
I know the feeling.
yeah, but it was
team roping, it kind of a life lesson right
Humbling.
there. You know?
Absolutely.
How did it feel the first time when you roped with him and you caught the cow and you just probably thought to yourself, it's in it, I got it?
Well, I don't know if I hate to bring this up, but
no, that's what we want you to bring up.
So we was good on two, and we started in the prelim, and you talk about mad. I of course I didn't turn the best steers. Like let's look back, but you got a leg on the third one in the prelim, and he was so mad, and I'm like, I don't even care. You know,
got a time.
We're going to the shootout, you know. And then I'm
going to shootout with Cesar,
and he felt bad for, you know. It's an emotional attachment. The hardest thing about team roping is it's a team sport, and so when you rope with somebody that you know, whether you admire them or you truly care about them as a person, when you screw up for certain people, it tends to hurt worse.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was a kid, okay, and it hurt his feelings to screw up for me.
Yeah.
So then I come right back and screw up for an idol.
Yeah.
And that really hurts, you know, and that's one of the, I mean, I'm 6 years now into my rodeo career, and that's one thing I'm really working on. Well, not getting so upset, but especially for who you do it for. Yeah. Because the one thing you have to remember, and this is the hardest thing to understand, but whoever you're roping with when you back in the box, they're entered with you because they believe they can win with you. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one thing I've really worked on this year, thinking back, is there is a lot of variables in team roping. All rodeo, all competitions of any kind, but we're talking two horses plus one more if you consider the flagger.
Mhm.
And then we got 3 people, two ropers and a flagger.
Yep.
We got a barrier. We got a steer.
Mhm.
Okay, we got timers.
Yep.
Okay, so we can't control a lot of things. We can't dictate the steer's pattern
Mhm.
most of the time. All we're doing every time we practice is doing our best to overcome obstacles, right?
Yeah.
And when they throw these things at you, sometimes it's just there ain't much anybody can do.
Yeah.
And all it is when you get chances, you got to capitalize. And that really should be if you really want to break it down, the only time you should be disheartened rodeoing or jackpotting or trying to make a living roping or not even trying to make a living roping, just roping to rope or whatever it is you do. If you want to be let down in yourself, do it when you shouldn't have messed up.
Yeah.
When you had the right cow
Mhm.
and didn't do your job, or but at the end of the day, you're still going to miss at times. But all we're trying to do is set ourselves up for when they run that steer in at that certain point, we got to capitalize.
That same philosophy we were saying right there. I remember back in high school, our coach would say he would judge us the games that you should win and you don't win. That's where you get judged on, not the ones the wins. It's the ones that you should win and you should win and you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like we were saying right there.
You were
Capitalize.
talking earlier about roping somewhere you went roping and you had missed for somebody, and you said that you felt so bad about missing for the lady, and that people don't understand that that's how you guys make your living.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are showing up and they're roping because it's fun, or I don't know, maybe their parents left them too much money and this is what they want to do with their life. But you guys don't ever miss, and that doesn't affect you differently than somebody that's doing it for fun.
Oh, that's right. And it's amazing what a learning experience it is, competing and understanding life, and putting things in perspective and like Cesar and I were texting yesterday, and he sent me videos of his boys roping at the truck roping, and it was something along the lines of, "This is what excites you now,"
Yeah,
right?
this is what I live
So that's what he lives for. So 10 years ago, it was different. 15 years ago, his life
Absolutely.
was different. Okay, he was in a position a lot like me now. Like I want to go every time I can put my name down. I want to put my name down, right? And priorities change. Well, that is the position I'm in, but I also know like where I stand as far as life. Like that I want to rodeo because I'm fortunate and I've worked hard to try to rodeo. It makes my living, but I'm trying to do things outside of that to set myself up for the future. Because I don't think rodeo, your resume is the resume you build through rodeo is the only thing rodeoing does to set up your future.
Absolutely.
Financially, it's unless you make the NFR and have good NFR,
Yeah.
Or do good jackpot. I hate to say it, but it's the truth, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
Absolutely.
you're living a dream and you're chasing a dream.
Yep.
You're not making a living.
Absolutely.
Now there is real money to be won now if you manage it, but I mean that's a whole nother thing that you learn through life. And as you win money, where do you put it? What do you do with it? Do you invest in horses? I mean that's all amongst what you want to do with your life.
that's the business side of it.
That's the business side, right? So I mean, I want to rodeo because I want to rodeo. No other reason. I
Yeah.
want to be a contender for a world championship, and I don't see why anybody could tell me I can or can't. And it's taken me a long time and I work on it every day, not care what people think or let what they say dictate how you feel about certain situations. And that being said, when people build you up, like Cesar has my whole life, you take it for what it is, because it's like your highs can't get too high, your lows can't get too low. So Cesar says it because he believes it, right?
Mm.
He tells me all the time he believes in me, and it means a lot. But how much different? It's amazing how much that doesn't affect me as much as somebody who tries to bring me down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I'm going to take what he says
Mhm.
because he does believe it. Most of the people who have something bad to say, they're jealous or have never lived it,
Yep.
right? And I mean, they're only trying to bring you down because they can't live your dream.
No other reason. Exactly.
Jealousy.
Yep.
Yes, and it's
We talked
it's
about
the root of all evils. It's the worst sin
Yeah.
in the Bible.
Mhm.
And I mean, you hate to see it because I want things for people all the time. That's another thing that has been hard for me that I bear on a lot, and I'm trying not to. I'm trying to get better about it. Is I've often wanted things for a lot of people in life, way worse than they want it,
Yeah.
and it makes you miserable.
Yeah.
So you have to center yourself around people who want to get better and whatever it is. If you hang out with a golf pro,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know nothing about golf. Don't
Eventually
really
you'll
want.
be a golfer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they have a winning mindset, a business mindset, then you can relate if
Mhm.
that's what you want. You
Absolutely.
don't even have to be. That's what
Mhm.
we was talking about earlier. Like fundamentals of roping are very similar to fundamentals in any sport.
Yeah.
Because there's a set of guidelines, a set of things we need to do to progress. And if we work hard and put our mind to it, we will progress.
Yeah.
Same with swinging a golf club or,
Mhm.
like I said, shooting a jump shot. Hitting a tennis ball. I'm
Yeah.
reading the inner game of tennis, and it's like, I mean, it's all here, but there's like a right way and a wrong way
Yeah.
to swing the racket, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and if you keep doing it, constantly getting better, and then if you see your progress, that makes you even hungrier to, you know what I mean, makes you want to keep going.
absolutely.
What I've learned talking to guys at your level is the discipline. I think that's, to me, what you're saying is 100% correct, and the discipline is in every sport. But I see it in you guys is the discipline of I didn't rope so good today. I'm not going to take 2 or 3 days off. I'm going to be in the practice pen tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to be honing my craft.
Oh, that's right. But it's I mean, I think Cesar would say the same. You either want it or you don't. If you go home and think, okay, I roped like crap today, I got to get up tomorrow and rope. No, you wake up and rope because that's what you want to do,
Right.
and that's how you. I mean, I've never honestly. It was different until about 6 years ago. For the last 6 years, I've never woke up and wanted to do anything else. And I mean, do I lose plenty? Yeah, we all lose. We're gonna lose, sadly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
every day I wake
competition.
up, I go to that arena, and I'm trying to overcome those variables. Every time I'm back in the box somewhere, I want to feel like I can win. And I got a young kid living with me now that you guys are gonna. Cesar knows who he is, and he's a high school champ this year named Porter Bryant. And,
Porterhouse.
Oh, yeah.
and he's a good kid.
I know him real well.
And he's a worker. He's learned how to work, and he comes from a good family, and he's in a situation we talk about a lot. He's not like most 16-year-old kids. He's living with a 28-year-old, quote unquote, an employee. So he's not living a kid's life.
Yeah.
But I tell him all the time, the one thing when we leave the roping that we'll never say is we lost because we weren't prepared.
Yeah.
We might get our ass kicked. And we might miss. We might miss every steer. But it wasn't because we showed up and, man, we didn't ride our horses yesterday. We didn't rope. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. No, our minds were right. Our roping was right. And shit hit the fan. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I hate that it went that way, but that's just how it went.
I want to talk about that a little bit. I'm all about hard work, and I try to preach that as much as possible. So when I go work for Dakota Kirch Slaughter and stuff like that, we start first thing in the morning. We got 20, 30 horses to ride, and we're there all day long. We don't eat lunch. We go skip lunch and we have a big dinner, but like it's all day. The sun's going down, it's nighttime, and we're just finishing up just to go have dinner now. And then we're up at 3 or 4 in the morning again to do it all over again. And if you don't love it, you're it's going to burn you out fast. But talk about your preparations to say you're because it's tougher for you because you're doing both. You go to these pro rodeos, and then you're going to these shows. It's like tell the people about like your day. What does a day look like for Trey Yates?
Well, like in Pueblo, there's a crew around there. We got probably 50, 60 head of horses, and we all do our share cleaning what pins we need to clean, and then we saddle up and we rope, and often days there is no lunch, and we just ride and we rope, and that's what we do. And we work on it. My dad's 63 years old, and I actually talked to him really for an hour the whole way over here. We just talked like best friends. Like that's kind of the relationship we have,
I love that relationship you have with your dad.
It's special. It really is. And we've got to compete on a high level at times, and win some cool stuff. And it's been a great, adventure with him, really. I mean, but anyway, we'll get into that later. But so like we ride a lot of, we got client horses and outside horses, and I got young horses of my own, and he's got young horses of his, and so it's all a mind game, and it's all about testing yourself. So a lot of times what I do at the end of the day is I'm at 63 years old with 2 bad knees and a bad shoulder and all that, bad elbows, everything. I make him saddle up 1 or 2 of his good head horses, and we're going to get it on for a minute.
That's awesome.
And it's like he's always told me, if we can do everything we've done all day and then rope good, rope sharp like we're supposed to, if we're going to go somewhere, then we're doing it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate mind game. And it's just amazing that, it's a special thing. Even my grandpa at 87, he's been roping every day with me. And the only reason they try to get better anymore, they don't have nothing to prove to nobody, don't care to, but he's trying to get better for me. And so I always have a great partner at home.
Yeah.
And it's like, we talked about it today on the way over here. He said, a lot of guys, they go rope and they get lowered and they like to rope in them low numbered ropings because they feel pretty comfortable and they win their share. And he said, I'm the complete opposite. He said, I want to back in there at the BFI and I want to see what I got. I want to see if I got my horse ready, if I do my job like I know I can do, I can get their money. And I really respect that mindset. At 60 years old, I hope I'm freaking trying them on,
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I see guys all the time, like you watch social media, and it's like the same guy winning the number 8 roping every single week. It's like, why do you do that? Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you like to do it, but like you're 30 years old, bro. Why ain't you going and roping in the, higher number roping?
Well, it all goes back to what we talked about. You're only as good as who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And I don't
swim with the sharks.
I wanted to swim with sharks, man. I loved it. I rope better when I'm around them guys. You know what I mean? Like, you're not paying attention sometimes. You're opening low number opens, or to me, anyways. Like, when I'm roping against these guys, Trey, like, I know that I got to have my best, or else I ain't gonna win nothing. So,
it makes you do better.
I love it.
And even low number guys like me, when I first came back to rope, I took like a 10-year break, and I came back. I didn't know that you can call and have Cesar. He was my favorite healer all the time, and then a couple buddies found out. Well, I didn't know that I could call Cesar and have him come to my house and give me a lesson. Well, fuck, rest is history. I mean, that was just, that was, like you say, surround yourself with. I didn't know that.
Who do you want to be?
Yeah, so then here we go. 6 years later.
Let's talk about your partners that you can go home and rope with. The coolest video I watched of you before you come was your grandpa winning in Vegas. Let's talk about that.
Oh man,
it was awesome.
It was a trip. Man, there's so much that went on that year, but yeah, that was my first year at the national finals, 2018, and so funny story. You talk about taking a break from roping. The fella that he was roping with there is from Canada, named Guy Comistic, and he quit for 25 years.
Holy cow!
And he rodeoed back in the 90s and the 80s and roped calves and team roped, and he became good friends with my dad. He took a crazy gnarly digger at Salinas. Cesar, you'll appreciate this story. He'd never been to Salinas. He'd only roped in barns and Canada and some of the short scores. Yes. So he was roping with Jim Randall.
In the biggest arena.
In the biggest arena. And he didn't even know when they got there that there wasn't a heel box. So
I just thought that entered Salinas, huh?
yeah, so
that's a good one to pick.
So this was the second round. Well, he's got a gnarly picture, but he just turned his heel horse loose. I guess they caught their first. I don't remember how it went, but Jim Randall's running up to the second one. Well, he feels like he's behind, so he's after him, heeling. Well, Jim Randall turns the steer, and he just T-bones him going wide open, and he's got a picture. I'm telling you, it's gnarly, like frame by frame. So anyway, he said that my dad rode up to him out there, and he goes, "Hey, man, if you try that again, you're going to die." And he said from then on, they became good friends. And my dad loaded him up after the fourth round, drove to Northern California to a horse show my dad was going to, and they spent a week together. And anyway, long story short, he did some homework on the World Series of team roping when his his daughter was Miss Rodeo Canada, and maybe she was getting older, whatever it was. And later in life, he wanted to team rope. So he got a number, and he flew down and started roping again. Got his hips replaced. So that was third year they had roped out there. and they won third in the 10 roping. And I was sitting in the stands watching, of course, at the back end, and it was a pretty special moment, you know.
It was kind of cool, the video, because it's like, I mean, I don't know the situation, but just watching the video, it looks like you kind of just creeped up there, like you were one of those like family members that wanted to watch, but you didn't want to watch. Like, you know, you kind of
exactly
creeped up there,
right,
and
yeah.
you were like standing by a big poster banner deal, and you're just watching, and
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
yeah, it was pretty neat, man.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to the Tolleson-Mack. We got Trey Yates. He's still here with us, telling some stories and just having a good old time. The second half of this podcast is brought to you by Graceful Transportation. Contact Joe Grace for your horse hauling needs anywhere in the country. Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Joe Grace, so does a good job. So Trey, what's I'm gonna let Cesar talk about some stuff with you. Go ahead, Cesar.
Man, Trey's his life is man. I just think it's awesome. You know, God works in mysterious ways, and I know JD. He probably didn't expect he was going to have a baby boy. You know what I mean? And then here you come along. If you, it's one of my favorite stories. But if you can tell the fans about it.
Yeah, you know, it's a unique situation. I grew up south of Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a town called Los Lunas. Actually, a good friend of mine, Seth Hall. We lived on the same road growing up, and I never knew him until later in life. But anyway, yeah. And then when I was 4 years old, I got in contact with my dad, and he drove down, and I spent a day with him, or half a day, you know, whatever, and had a great time. And then I would go spend, you know, holidays and 6 weeks in the summer in Colorado with my grandparents and my aunt and my dad. And so I guess to say I started roping at 11 might not necessarily be true, because about 6 weeks out of the summer, I'd rope the dummy a little bit and ride a horse, but maybe for 20, 30 minutes. I mean, I didn't care much about it. I won my first buckle when I was 8 at the horse show in Pueblo. I was the only youth kid enter, and I think I caught, you know, maybe there was 5 days and I caught 1 day or something. But anyway, so yeah, then 2006, excuse me, things kind of changed at home in Pueblo, in New Mexico, and I guess I was 10, turning 11 about a month after. I just finished my 5th grade year of school, and I went up to my dad's, and about a month and a half later, my mom told me that that's where my best opportunities in life were, and I stayed. And I guess I didn't really understand it like an 11-year-old kid probably wouldn't at the time, but I see it now, you know, and it's been a great ride.
It was for your grandparents. It was awesome.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
the love that they showed for you was just amazing. They took you as many places they could, and just supported you as much as possible. That's, like I said, it's a great story. Like I said, God created you to be a champion team roper. You know, and I just, like, you got the average buckle. You know, that was really cool to see, and your family there to celebrate. It's like, man, that's really cool. Like that was destined. You know what I mean, to be.
Yeah, my granddad had quit team roping for 10 or 12 years until he was just tripping steers he'd go to the senior steer ropings and stuff. And then I took an interest in it. And so he'd head for me in the parent-child at the junior rodeos, and started jackpotting again. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to, when I was 17, I think, I was a number 8 healer, and maybe 18, 17 or 18, but I entered the U.S. Open for the first time with my dad, and that was the first year I went to the George Strait, and, like, I didn't know I was going, but my dad's like, all right, you need to start getting ready. You're ready to go. I'm going to take you to the George Strait. And he was, you know, you enter 3 times over there, and he was my first partner, and I'm like, God, I need somebody else to.
Can we mix it up a little bit?
And, you know, I'd watched the tapes and seen the guys rope, and but not really much live. Like, my dad still competed a little bit, and I'd go to the rodeos, but I'd been to the BFI once, maybe at that point, but never seen unreal team roping.
Yeah.
I mean, like, these guys are doing things.
700 teams going balls to the wall every time.
Yeah, the
Hit
George
the
Strait.
Yeah.
yes. And it's like, I mean, you're watching some of the best healing, of course, heading's probably more amazing really, but I mean, as a healer, I'm just like, whoa, like and so we're in like the 4th rotation, and he's riding that bay Buster that I rode for you, and just pulls to the pin, just 2 swings, puts him on the end of it, and I heal the steer with 5 flat. And you talk about, I'm scared, dude. I'm so scared. And
There's a little bit of a crowd there. It's kind of loud. It's kind of cool.
yeah, and 700 teams, like you said. So I mean, you're this big, And I ride out, and Tom Bill Johnson, who I just met there, but I'd seen him on tapes, and I'm like, Tom Bill. I mean, I'd introduce myself to anybody I seen on tapes, So I met him the day before, and he said, Trey, you just did something, scared the shit out of me. Don't ever do it again. And I said, I'm scared too. What did I do? And he's like, you backfed your rope through the turn. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know what that means, but I won't do it again. And then we went maybe 5 flat or 4-9 on the second one.
Oh, man.
Make the top 50. And we came back 11th high team the next day.
Shit.
And we had this steer that just split the gates, had little horns, and he popped it off the left horn. You talk about just, it hurt. Obviously it sucked because there's real money, but he felt like he'd let me down. That's kind of what we talked about earlier, right? Like but it was a special moment.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I made the top 50 maybe one time after that ever.
Yeah.
So that's like one of them things that it's hard to do. It's a hard feat. You don't know it at the time because it just happened your first time.
Yeah.
Well, then that year I was like, entered the U.S. Open. I said, Dad, we're going to the U.S. Open. He hadn't been in like 10 years. Maybe he healed the last time he went, He's like, well, I guess, whatever you want to do. So I send our entry fees off, and me and my granddad are roping in the 13 shootout at the time too. So he took Buster down there, and we made the
Buster's made the trip.
Hell
Buster's been to all of them. He might only go to 3 a year. He back then, but it was the big ones,
Yeah.
Cheyenne. And so anyhow, we made the short round in the U.S. Open too. And he said, I ain't got much game no more. My dad tells me, he said, but I'm gonna bring it right here. I said, yes, sir. Whatever you want to do. And he did. He brought the haymaker, maybe 10th high team, and he lost his rope.
Oh, shit.
Same deal, just devastated, And I'm like, I didn't give a shit, man. Like, this is
Made short
crazy.
round.
Outbox, he just went. We're right behind him.
Yeah.
That next team.
Yeah.
But my granddad and I won 5th in the 13 shootout.
That's badass.
And that was a cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just getting a rope with both of them on that stage, and yeah, I mean, the relationship that my grandparents and I had was very special. My grandma, she was the matriarch of our family. She, back several years ago, there was no cell phones to enter and all that, and she did all the entering for my dad, my granddad. She went with my aunt quite a bit, but she never cared to rope or ride.
Mm-hmm.
But she managed everything. She did the books
cool.
for my dad's horse training business till the day she passed. And we talk about 2018, the year prior to that. She'd never had a surgery in her life. She'd never been crippled, nothing. And she had fell and broke her hip going down the stairs pretty bad, and had a pretty major surgery. And it was very hard. And obviously she didn't get around very good. And so like when my granddad won all that money, she's next to me, but she's in a scooter. She'd rent a scooter, and that's how she got around. And the night after that night in the 10th round, we had a big party bus or something leaving the Tolleson-Mack, and she gave me a hug. She got up. So like you talk about God and miracles. So this is a lady that, unless she was on a walker, she couldn't walk, hardly. And she stood up on this bus and gave me a hug and started dancing. And I'm like,
That's crazy.
me and my granddad are just sitting there like, what, And she
Should have brought you to Vegas a long time ago.
Yes. And she told me, she said, my life's complete. I'm ready to go. And of course, I'm like, no, you're not going nowhere. And I roped at the American that following year, and the next day, it was on a Monday, I believe, she passed away. But she meant it, and because she lived for my aunt, my dad, my grandpa, and me.
Yeah.
And she got to see all of us carry out our dreams. She told me one time that, of course, she was hurting, so she didn't think she'd be able to go to the rodeo, but of course she made all 10 performances, and But she was telling me she'd always go out there and watch my grandpa rope, and she told me one time that she was walking through that. She was very set in her ways, and she did things her way, and that's how it was. And she said they'd been in Vegas about 5 days, and she was over it. And she's walking up there to the escalator at South Point. And she said, Speed Williams stops her. Said, Jan, how you doing? Said, I'm ready to get out of this damn place. I've had enough of this town. I want to get the hell out of here. And Speed told her, well, you better get used to it because that grandson of yours will be here one of these days.
Cool.
And she said, well, he better get to it because I'm sick and tired of this damn place. I ain't got many years left in me.
Yeah.
But she was
Cool.
awesome. But my dad and I, we have our father-son, we say it all the time. We have our father-son relationship, and we have our friend relationship. And then we've had a relationship as, we're competitors as far as together, right? And I was talking earlier about him, like as far as why he competes now is to test himself. And he's like, you know what I love just as much as backing in the box with you is without you to see if I can beat your ass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I remember one year at the World Show, we're sitting there, they're calling the results out in the senior healing. It was the same year as 2018. And it's just him and I left up there. And, like at the World Show, they don't announce the scores or nothing. So you don't know who won until they call you out. So it's just him and I left up there. And I said, I'm going to beat your ass here one of these days. And he looked at me and he said, I know you are, but it ain't going to be today. And sure enough, they called me out on 1 second. But cool moments like that, and we can, there's those relationships. But I was thinking about this in the break earlier, and I think about this all the time. And I think Cesar could vouch for this. Back to like the roping and competing and preparation and all that. All this work we do with, which I guess for us it's roping, but it'd be anything in life. Like we work so hard, we try to get better, but for what? What is our end goal? Well, my objective is to be a world champion, obviously, but I want to be able to know, like I said, every time I'm back in the box, know that I'm ready. Okay, well, all that leads to what? Well, there's really only going to be about 10 times in your life, if you're a truly successful competitor, that all that hard work pays off. Yeah. You're not going to be high call at the BFI, maybe ever.
Yeah.
It's a tough place.
And if you are, you just hope that
it goes right.
It goes right. And when you leave there, if it doesn't go your way, you're going to be disappointed, but don't let it be because you weren't ready.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Control what you can control.
Yeah. And
that's all you can.
Yeah. And that, like you said, that goes with everything you do in life, any career choice. I mean, you got to be prepared, you got to be ready.
If somebody, it's like if you're in the business world and somebody calls you with $1 million opportunity, you better have your ducks in a row to take advantage.
Damn right.
Because if you don't and accept that offer, everything goes backwards.
Yep. Absolutely, because there's somebody is ready.
And I told Chad that this year. I roped with him this last year, and Chad Masters and I became really close friends. And unfortunately, we didn't make the NFR, and that's sad. But we became good friends, and we went through a lot together. And I learned a lot, obviously, roping with a veteran. But I told him one time, and he didn't think much of it. And it turns out I was still wrong, thinking the way I thought. But I told him, I said, I've asked you to rope for a couple of years now, and I'm glad you never told me yes because I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And turns out I still wasn't, and it's look, hindsight's 20/20, right? All we can do is go forward, but my mind wasn't ready. Nothing was ready for the events that took place this year in my rodeo career. I wasn't ready to handle them accordingly, as far as the good horse that I've rode for my whole career really went down. Well, I have some good ones on standby, fortunately enough, but my mind didn't let me think so all the time. Like, take it for what it's worth. Ride what you got. They're still good. Believe in yourself. Believe, and I mean, truth be told, if as good as professionals rope, if you believe in yourself, you can ride anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it does help to obviously be on a great horse, but it's not like we're going to go afoot, Do you agree?
Yeah, it's something that I struggle with a little bit is the mental game side of it. And you talked about reading books, the inner game of tennis. And man, I helped Peyton Bray out too. We talked a little bit this year, but it's in your mind. Man, if you're right mentally, you got every shot in the book. You practice. You've dedicated your life for this. Like you ride the right position, if you're in the right mindset, like it seems like it's roping's easy. But if you're fighting it, if you got something outside of the rodeo that you're, relationship, whatever, it seems like, man, it's hard to rope.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your mind right. You know what I mean? To perform. And I think now when I help people, like, like I get questions all the time. How do you help a guy that's making the NFR, like a guy like you've won the average. I've never won the average there. How are you going to help a guy like that? I try to tell him to keep your mind right. You know what I mean? If you're negative thoughts, if you're if you're missed one and you're having a hard time letting it go, it's gonna snowball. It's I call it quicksand. You get to fight it. You're gonna get in over your head. If you can kind of relax, you're gonna stay afloat. You're gonna be okay. But like, man, like we talked about it this summer, and you were just one or two big rodeos away from making the NFR. It wasn't like you were real far back, but it's talk about that. Your dad said we're going to practice all day long, and then we're going to make some runs. And if you can rope tired, you're going to be able to perform on the 4th of July because you are extremely exhausted. You've been driving, your horses are tired, everybody's tired. But if you can perform when you're tired, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how bad do you want it? How
Yeah.
deep can you dig? Is, I that's one thing. I remember one time at the Patriot, first time I was ever there, and for whatever reason they had the open rope, and it was like at 8:00 at night in the parking lot of what used to be the Fort Worth Rodeo.
Yeah.
And it's raining sideways, so it's raining under the cover, and it's 500 a man, and it's dirty cold.
They have 10 arenas over there in Fort Worth. And
they featured roping. The open roping is
outside
in the parking lot.
Covered arena, but it's outside.
Right. And of course, everybody's in their jackets and cold. God, it's cold. It's cold. This and that. Which I'm not going to say I probably
That one's right outside the building.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went there and roped on the finals, and like that was the second arena.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right outside the building. Yeah, it was cold when we were there too.
Right. But I remember, of course, I'd take my coat off to rope or whatever, but I remember Corkill. He's just in his long sleeve shirt and glove and whatever. Maybe had his hoodie on, but he pulls his hood down to rope, and he's like, "Man, it's cold, isn't it?" I said, "You're damn right, it's cold." He goes, "Yeah, well, somebody's gonna win 13,000 still." Yeah. Guess who got the 13,000 that night?
Corkill.
Yeah, that guy's a beast, man. Talking about like how people think, like that guy could be a little bit hard on himself and make himself perform better. And I was the kind of guy that, like, the harder I was on myself, like mentally, like it's not like working. I can make myself work and be able to perform, but like mentally, I'd break myself down a little bit too much. And I spent some time with Corkill Rodeo and stuff. And man, like he'd get upset with himself, but then come back and just better than ever. I'm like, man, how do you do that? Yeah, like I said, that guy's special. And now I'm trying to study this game a little bit more and learn mindsets and see how, these guys that are winning world titles, it's, Wesley Thorpe, he and T Wade, their mindset was set up to win a world title. They, you know what I mean? As far as the teamwork that went into it at the finals, you know what I mean? The rounds that they won and everything just kind of come together for them too. But man, if the team ain't in the right mindset, you're not going to win in the number 8 roping or the number 9 roping, even if you don't know each other. There's some kind of connection you got to have, and positive vibes. We talked to a lot of guys about this. I mean, it's any champion's going to talk about it's how your mind.
Yeah, Larry's the first one that told us, I think, on the podcast that she had a mental game coach.
Everybody that we talked to has brought that up about mental game. You talked about how many different aspects there is in team roping. You talked about the flagger and the header and the healer. The one guy, the healer's in a good space in his head, but the header might not be. That's just so many factors. His old lady caught him with somebody. You know what I mean? And he's big trouble, So his mind ain't there, So
He needs to make this to put a down payment on
Yeah.
somewhere new to live.
you know what I mean. So it is crazy to find a partner that has the same, at least similar mindset of what's going on. Because you got one guy that's partying every night, one guy's straight. I don't know. You know what I mean? You gotta
Let's
have
talk
to.
about that. How do you guys find partners?
Well, yeah, I've always
You got to court them a little bit.
Man, the headers are tough.
headers are tough. I
Headers
mean,
are
it's a
tough,
headers
man.
game, and you only get you work on your healing to get the best, what in your mind is the best header. I guess like I've never roped with anybody younger than me. I started with T Wade in the winter of 18, and we split in the spring, and then I started roping there in San Jenny. We made the finals, won the average, and then I roped with JoJo Mon a little bit, Dustin Bird. I've roped with Matt Sherwood. All great talents, Then I roped with who did I rope? Oh, T Wade for 2 years, and then I roped with Chad this last year. But I'm gonna rope with Jake Clay this next year, and Jake Clay is pretty. He's the first guy I've ever roped with younger than me, like I said, and seems like I don't know him that well. He's a pretty quiet guy. He's nice, he's talented.
Sticks.
He's gamey. And just seems like, just filling him out what little I've talked to him. I think we got pretty similar goals, and he needs to make a living roping.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a living roping. So
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to, and hopefully, like you said, it's a mixture. Hopefully our roping jives,
Yeah.
and that's what it that's
all
all it
that
boils
matters.
down
Yeah.
to, and sometimes you don't even rope with the guy that you like or
Mhm.
is your friend, or that that can be the hardest thing.
How often do you think, you don't gotta say no names, I'm saying, but just how often do you think today's roping, is there a partnership that the only reason, they don't talk, too much, or maybe if they don't really see eye to eye, is that common?
I don't know, man. I feel like
They mostly get
get
along.
along all right. I know the healers nowadays, like they got to put in their work with their headers a little
Mhm.
bit and go practice with them, hang out with them a little bit. The headers, they want to feel that little bit of
Yeah.
a connection, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think like, Caleb and Junior, they're good friends. They could talk about it. They
Yeah.
pray. They go have dinner together.
Mhm.
I'm not saying they're maybe the best friends, but they kind of
Yeah.
they're working for a common goal at the end of it.
Yeah,
know?
but
It's-
there is some like stuff that goes on necessarily, like like there's little stuff that goes on to maybe dictate or help
Well, I mean,
some
you spend
person.
that much time inside a pickup with
Yeah.
anybody,
Like there's every angle they're trying to get that best partner, correct? Other than their talents, right? You know what I mean?
Always, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Just like you said, you spend enough time with somebody, you're gonna get sick of them. They're
Yeah.
gonna get sick of you, and
Yeah.
that's another variable that
yeah, big time.
It's real easy to get sick of a guy if you're not winning.
For
You know what
sure.
I mean? It takes a pretty good friendship and a team that understands like this is just gonna pass. This is just that's a tough thing with rodeoing, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's real easy to jump the fence and go pick another partner.
yeah, or just say I'll go home.
Yeah, it's
It's just boom.
It's a tough
Dennis
deal.
Gates sit right here and told us that he set he turned out 3 at the NFR.
Yeah, to
Because of
rope with
Hurley.
rope with Bobby Hurley because Bobby got hurt and then
He said
Bobby
nope.
come back later on in the week.
Yeah.
But he said that he wasn't gonna rope without Bobby.
Really?
Yeah. So he said he was the only guy that turned out 3. But I've been waiting a long time to ask somebody this question, and with you saying that you don't really know Jake Clay, that's exactly what I've always wanted to ask. Like, I mean, you just watch this guy's talent, and you're confident in your talent, and you say, "Man, we're gonna put this together." So, what do? Hey, come to my house. We're
Yeah.
gonna start roping together.
There's not like an Indeed, like
Yeah,
a
like-
header wanted.
Well, I think you can work on developing a run, but I think as a team, you either got it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Aaron
Right.
Synergy never ran a practice steer together, and one Reno, one week into our career, one Cody, one. I mean,
But
literally.
I mean, a lot of these guys, though, and for the people that are listening, that's the questions I'm asking. But like, you know his run, right?
Mhm.
You've seen him rope a bunch.
Well, like
How
it's
does
a
that-
lot like Cesar said. You know the head horse,
Mm.
and like the yellow he rode scored good when we roped. He scored good and was flat, and he had a knack for hitting the barrier. And when he hit the barrier, he sent it. When it went on the horns, that horse wasn't maybe the strongest all the time, but it put the steers on the end of it and they hopped. So I knew if I got to the end of it all the
You
way,
had it.
they were gonna hop away from me. give me, you know, some good hops, and we'd get faced. And I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm sure when he roped on Smudge, it was a different style of horse, so it was probably different goes. I don't know. I mean, hard telling, not knowing. You can't. He wasn't the same roper, probably, wouldn't you say?
Man, Smudge is a pretty good horse, wasn't
He looked amazing.
he?
Yeah. He rode him in, I think, 3 rounds at the NFR that year for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, man. Like, if a header's got a knack right there, which he does with Smudge, he was able to hit the barrier really, really good, and be
The horse was
aggressive.
strong, it looked
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about it earlier. You're healing for the head horse a lot of the times. If the header horse is in tune with the header, man, the header's gonna shine and do his
that's right.
deal. And then it's just like I bring up football all the time. I don't never really got into football just a whole lot, but just man, it's the quarterback and the receiver setting up the run, you know, and having that good quarterback set the play up makes the heel shot that much easier, and be able to be fast. Like you can't be 3, you can't be 4 without a sharp header.
Oh, that's right.
You know what I mean? You're only can do so much as a healer out there, and if they don't set them up, it makes you look dumb sometimes.
Oh, you're right.
I mean,
That is one thing I see at the lower numbered ropings. Like those headers get a hold of them and leave.
they'll rub 'em around the neck and just leave. It's
well,
like, hey,
you know,
like you
and
got a
We're on
healer
the
back
same
there.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
That's
and
what I
then
say all the time. It's a team.
the hardest thing is for a low number guy like me. I'm on the other end of it, and I'm like, "Wow, where you going?" You know, and like I do the same thing. If I was heading on me, I'm not saying anything
That's
bad
just-
about them, but I'm just saying like you got to heal behind that sometimes. And
So that's
tough.
that, you know, that's more to my point, right? Like, you know, you guys got to have that header set up your run
Yeah.
for you to be fast. You know, we have Eric sit here, and Rogers tells us, you know, or actually Cesar told us about Eric, about how he sets the steers so much differently than somebody else would. You know what I mean? So you got to have the right header to set up your run to be fast, or you know, you have to adapt to that.
Yeah.
right?
Well, Eric's got a knack of, he always hits the cow at the right angle. Like when the head rope hits, their head's bent, and he hits them from like the perfect width every time. Where if he feels like the cow, he can just turn off. He can turn off. If not, like if the cow's not ready to turn off, he can maintain the same momentum and then just turn the cow off and he hops.
He leads the steer out. Like you would lead your horse out of the stall. He leads the steer out of the corner. He doesn't really
And that
just
sets you
snap them and
guys
pull
up
them.
to just
It's an easy read. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a read. You know.
You know where they're going. You're just leading them. You know what I mean?
Trigger's the same way.
Yeah.
When it hits the horns,
Yeah.
it's tight, and then if he wants to stop the cow, he can still make them hop. If he wants to just run off, they're still gonna hop.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It's really cool what these headers are doing now from 3 coils back and being aggressive, and they call out 3/8, 4 flat, and it looked like a nice smooth run. It didn't look like no mistakes. Just but setting that healer up there just right, and that healer being in the right spot every time. It's like that's what they're looking for. It's like they're setting the whole play up.
yeah, when the headers that turn the steers to get the healers in sync are the winning teams.
Why Trey gets these good headers is because his heel horsepower, his dedication to the game, and he's going to show up to the rodeo every time trying his very
Prepared.
best, prepared.
Yeah, because I mean they're looking at you guys just as much as you know you're looking at them. You know,
So
I don't want to go down the road and waste my time. You know what I mean?
I feel if he was to back off a little bit, any one of them categories, he would lose headers.
Mhm.
But to be at the top level of this game, you have to have it all.
Yeah.
You have to have the horses, rigs. You have to be able to get to the rodeo. You have to have a good attitude, and I feel like Trey does have it.
Yeah.
And if for all the young listeners out there, if you want to be successful, you're going to have those. And because the headers are looking at the healers too, and they're wanting to rope with the guys that win, with the good attitudes and all that stuff. Now it's, you know, when I was first starting out, if you could heal the feet, there was headers putting up with a lot of BS. You can go do whatever you want to do, but as long as you were healing feet, it's fine.
Mhm.
But a lot of headers don't want to put up with that BS nowadays.
Yeah.
They want to know. They don't want to worry about their healer at all. They want to know healers are entering nowadays. Like that didn't used to happen back in the
Healers
header
are more like
control.
rock stars.
Yeah, like
and
Jake
hitters are-
Porfield and Ryan Motes. These guys, you know, Brady Minor. I'm sure you enter pretty good too. But like the healers are doing a lot of work and like putting more dedication to the game.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna be just this lazy healer that thinks you're gonna get with the best headers, and you know what I mean, you got
Yeah,
one
they
heel
coming.
horse, and you got a little rig that you can't really stay in, or you know what I mean. You're not gonna get that best header. That's just plain and simple.
Because they know you got to have a trailer to stay in because we're going to be practicing sometimes
Yeah.
inside the road or whatever. You know, I get it.
Well, in the mind game, you know, it's like, I've never. I think there's a fine line, And to me, it's like, I feel like you can compare it to, like we talk about position, like a commonly asked question seems like given a lesson or at a roping school is, so what, there's like 2 questions a healer will ask you. So what do you look at going down the arena, and where do I want to be going down the arena? Like when you say,
Yeah. Oh, that's every time.
so I tell them that, well, you need to, I said, if you had your gun and you were looking through the scope and you were going to shoot the elk, what are you looking at in the scope? Well, I'm looking at the elk. Okay. Well, where do you want to hit the elk? Well, I want to hit him behind the shoulder. Okay, so where do you put the scope? Well, that's where I'm going to look through the scope. Okay. Well, if your target's the feet, then what do you need to look at? Okay, you need to look at your target, right? If I want to hit the receiver in the numbers, I'm gonna look at his numbers or whatever the case is. You gotta look at your target. And 2, where you're going down the arena. Well, I can't tell you necessarily, because where I go down the arena and where Cesar goes, maybe 2 different
It all
spots.
depends on what horse you got, cowboy.
It depends on your horse, and that's why you, right. And you constantly practice to try to find your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, your mind game's the same way, I believe. I don't think that there's not a right mind game. Okay, there's many wrongs, but there's not a right, because I think you got to find a fine line. But I don't like the guys that say, I don't give a shit if I miss this and that. Well, I think that's wrong. I don't believe in that. And this is solely my opinion. I don't believe in that. How can you not give a shit if you ever catch another steer?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, you do have to have some of that in you rodeoing, though, because there's going to be times that you're going to screw up when you shouldn't have. Like we talked about, when you have those good steers and you get those chances to capitalize and you screw up, how are you going to handle that? Okay. And so you got to have a little bit of that in you, but you got to have a lot of don't let it just, like Cesar was talking about it, just let it eat you.
Yeah.
And I've done that for my whole life, and I'm trying to work on
Not an eat you.
But like I was talking about, one time I was telling a story about Bobby Lewis. Long story short, he told me, when you miss a steer, you coil your rope up and you ride out of there with pride, and you get ready for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? It's amazing. Like, I mean, I'm pretty body emotional when I miss at times. Okay, and I've really worked on it. And I missed a steer at Buckeye at the World Series, like the first weekend I was down here, and I just coiled my rope up and rode out. Well, I won 3rd in the roping that day. Yeah, I missed a steer downtown at the big roping before Vegas, and coiled my rope up and rode out and placed in that roping. So it's all chain reaction. It's a snowball.
Yeah.
Okay, did I miss? Yeah, I missed. Did I want to miss? Well, absolutely not. But you know what? Turn me this next one.
Yeah. You didn't let that mess up your next round.
You can't. And like I've listened to my dad say a lot of times, the most important steer of the day is the first one. The hardest thing to overcome, I think, jackpotting a lot of times, is if you mess up the first steer. Well, you have to dig down that much deeper now.
Yeah.
Because your day started off completely the wrong way.
I know the feeling there too.
Right? Well, you know what? You got another partner, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. You can't let them down.
And you may not.
Mm-hmm.
But you got another rope and a rodeo the next day.
Yeah.
And, anymore, like I said about rodeoing and jackpotting, there is real money to be won. So just because you missed a steer for $10,000, even if it's half the money, $5,000 the next day, $5,000 is good money.
Yeah.
And if you know your header's about to hit the barrier and duck one back rodeoing, you better be ready. Because if you messed up, say you messed up for 3rd over there, you messed up $7,500. Well, if you stub your toe again because your mind didn't let yourself work, all of a sudden you're $10,000 in the hole. That $3,500 could still be good money.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's what I think we need more a little bit, is the mental coaches a little bit on the roping side of it. The pro level for sure. Because these guys got every shot in the book, man.
You never had no nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
And now
man. I would eat myself up, dude. Sometimes if it would have been somebody over there that I really trusted their opinion, and be like, hey, dude, it'll be all right, dude. Just let it go, man. It'll be all right. That would have helped out. And I feel like maybe there'd people be trying to tell me that, but it's like I needed somebody that knew, that been in the same shoes, that knows exactly what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Hit one in the butt over that Reno or at the NFR. Like, that's a lonely ride out of the arena when you miss one.
The hardest.
What did Fred say? He says you're all alone.
You're all alone, man. It's very lonely out there.
You're very
But at the same time, like you heal one by 2 feet and you feel like everybody's with you. You know what I'm saying? It's a
roller coaster.
roller coaster with the mind.
It's a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. We need to find our way to be in the middle of the spectrum. So, like, I rode out of the arena with my rope coiled up when I missed. Like in the inner game of tennis, it talks about, are you going to do that when you catch, when you go 3 flat? I mean, I'm going to throw my hat probably if I break the world record. But do you still it's all based off your emotions at that moment in time, right? Obviously, it could be a life-changing moment in certain situations. But is it life-changing? That's the thing. Like, in 20 years from then, like I listened to Nick Saban one time talk about when he coaches these kids in college. And they, a lot of, obviously, his guys that play at Alabama, there's quite a few of them that have a chance to go to the NFL, right? Well, what he tries to set them up for is there's more years in life that those guys aren't going to be playing football than they are, okay? Yeah. So is Alabama football, is the NFL most important thing? So that's kind of where I've tried to reprioritize myself. Like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to accept failure. It's hard to take missing, all that, because it truly is what I want. But 20 years down the road, what am I going to look back? The only thing I want to look back and say is I want a gold buckle someday. That's every kid that ropes, that rodeos, that rides bulls, whatever it is, they want to be a world champion. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a world champion. So it's a generic thing to say, but it's very true. Yeah. Right? And the one thing when it's all said and done, is when I look back, I want to know that there wasn't one thing I left on the table to get my end goal. It wasn't because I didn't go to this rodeo. It wasn't because from now on in my career, I let my mind run over me or anything like that. Like, I truly gave it my all. Right. And
only you would know that.
And if I can have kids in 30 years, that are roping and doing whatever the case is, and I can look back and know that I did it all. I did all I could. I'm gonna be content.
Yeah, that's all you can do. You know what I mean? That's.
And I think that there's guys out there that have wanted a world championship so bad and didn't get it, that it ate them alive and it affected them later in life. What do you think, Cesar?
Man, yeah, I feel like having my 3 little boys, and you were 11 years old and you're out there wanting to rope. My kids were out there roping, and I kind of stepped back and like, man, I had a great rodeo career. I had a good life, and like I feel like it's time for my boys now. It's like when I would miss at the rodeos, it was worse. Like I'd mentally beat myself up worse because like I'm not with my family and not with my kids, and I missed, and now I'm not providing for the family. And so that's twice the mental. Like I never really thought about that. In 2006, 7, and 8 with Coulter Todd, roping was fun. It was easy, and then like it got to be where roping's hard. It's not. It's. I mean, you
can almost hate it and not even know it.
Oh, I was there. It's like how can I provide for the family and do this? I can't. I'm like, this is, and then I'm only home. Say 9 months out of the year, I'm out rodeoing and stuff, and then when I am home, 3 months out of the year, I'm jackpotting around here and I'm gone. Yeah. I'm not really. I'm the whole home. Year. I'm not home. Yeah. It's like these boys want to rope, and that's what I wanted when I was a kid. My real dad wasn't around. My stepdad did good. He come into my life, and then helped us go to the junior rodeos, and that helped my career go on. But I always wanted that when I was a kid. It's like, man, these kids got up their dad over there, and they're helping them out, and over there in the box scoring with them and stuff. And I take pride in my kids ride my horses and stuff that I trained and started and stuff. And it's like, man, I get a kick out of that stuff now. And like when I'd go to the rodeos, is winning, it was just to provide. It wasn't like I got any excitement out of it. I used to get a rush out of it. It's like an adrenaline rush. You know what I mean? When I did win, it's like all that hard work, man. It's awesome. You know what I mean? I want that rush again. Let's go do it again tomorrow. Let's go do it again this afternoon. Let's go rope. Let's go do it again. But then it's like, man, the kids, I just can't. It was just too hard. And like I said, mentally, I wasn't able to let myself rope and be there. And so like I'm gonna step away from this game of rodeo, and I'm gonna try to be a good dad. And it's funny how my mind changed a little bit more. Even I Tanner Baldwin lives right up the road from me. We train horses all the time, and he tells me, man, ever since you quit rodeoing and stuff, and you kind of let it go, you're a lot better with your horses and a lot easier with your horses, and don't ask them as much, because like you let them make a mistake and it'll be all right. And usually a lot of the times the horses, if they're trying and they make a mistake, they're going to come back the next one. You know what I mean? It's like you can beat up a horse, same thing as a human sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you think of good horses, and we've all been guilty of taking out aggression on our horses and doing things we probably shouldn't have in the past. But when you have a good horse, honestly, they're going to make mistakes too, right? But they mess up how much less than we do.
It's crazy how smart they are and how good they are. They're so in
if you look
tune.
at it that way.
Yeah.
Like horses are amazing animals. That's what I love about them. Like it's pretty neat.
And their brain's the size of a walnut. So how can they do what they can do with this? And
Maybe we're just overthinking it.
Oh, you're right.
The best I've ever roped is I just kind of I felt like I was a co-pilot. My horses show me the shot, and if I needed to be ready, because he was going to give me the shot. Like them good trained rope horses, like they know where to go. You just gotta like
do your job.
Just get out of their way. Just let them work. And it's like, man, there's a unity, or there's a partnership between the rider and the horse. We talked about headers and healers and stuff. Like if the header's in tune with the horse and the healer's in tune with the horse, that is a world champion combination.
Yeah.
Like T. Wade was one with the head horse, and Wesley Thorpe. I'm a fan of Wesley Thorpe. I've always been ever since he was a kid, and his ability to kind of let that miss go. I think it was round 7 or 8 or something. He just let it go. He made a mistake. He was mad. He was mad. He could have let it eat him up, but he kind of come back and they win some rounds and like finish strong. And that's what I think now more than ever. Like a professional team roper has to be strong and mentally, because you're going to see a lot going down the road, and keeping your partner going and keeping your horses going. You got to have a positive mindset nowadays.
You have to. Yeah. I admire that. I admire Wesley Thorpe highly. I mean, his discipline and obviously I've never practiced with him much or been to his house or anything, but obviously his work ethic is through the roof, and he, I roped with T Wade for 2.5 years. And I mean, I know that he works hard at it. He's obviously one of the most talented guys going.
He's got his own style, man. He's
unique.
perfected his own style, and that, like you said it a little bit. He's gotten called out for crossfire. Headers get called out for crossfires nowadays.
Yeah,
which it didn't happen when I first started rodeoing. I mean, they're thrown in. To do that for a header, you have to be thrown in the box, and the neck rope is still on the steer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the line judge will be like,
he headed him too fast.
He headed him too fast. He's still in the box. The neck rope's still on.
That's crazy.
And like that guy has perfected that shot. Like
I don't know that feeling.
The judges are sitting there watching him, making sure that he is at least releasing his rope.
Yeah.
When the horses
pops up.
Yeah.
I think him and his squeezer are the only two I've ever seen called out for it.
I mean, it's pretty impressive. I don't know.
What?
You've tried it. You've had it enough, and just sit in the back and just being good at that right there. That's a knack right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're throwing without all the forward momentum of your horse, so you're not getting all the power from your 1,200 pound.
Just try your hand or your arm.
Yes,
and
the cow's leaving you.
Yeah,
and then still halfway handle the steer to be able to heel fast. That's pretty impressive.
And get to the horn.
I mean, there's a lot of factors we talked about, and it's just cool to have Trey on to talk about like his mental side of it now, like because that's you have to have it, like and that is going to allow that header to be free. He's going to make a mistake. He's like, man, my healer's not pissed off at me. I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean? He went and talked to me after the run. You know what I mean? We're going to win this. We're going to win tomorrow. You know, but if your healer and your header feels like you're mad at him, I swear, like the headers really, it's hard on him.
Yeah.
And like it, you'll see it. They might miss 2 or 3 in a row. You know what I mean? Like, but you can help build the header up and be a positive person and kind of, your horses are ready to go, you're ready to go, and you're positive, upbeat, kind of healer. Them headers live for that kind of stuff now.
I mean,
they want healers like that now.
I see it at every level. Like you'll see some guys like the header miss or the healer miss, and the body language of the other person. They'll kind of throw their head. You can just see it. And you're like, man, why do that? Like it's just
I
You
think
know,
everybody misses.
everybody misses. But,
Frustration, man. It's just
Man,
frustration.
At this level,
I've been there,
everybody
I've done it.
you know what I mean?
Ever
Like
since I've started playing golf, they're talking about control your emotions in that
Yeah.
game, and I see it in roping. I like you talked about when you just like, hey, I
yeah,
made a mistake.
It's one thing to
you
get
know,
mad
I
at
pulled up
yourself,
my rope, I
but-
rode out, or like you, I guarantee you wouldn't have won the roping if you would have gathered your rope up and threw it up in the grandstand, and yelling the F word
Jerking
all the way
on my
down. Yeah,
horse, and
yeah,
it just
it
doesn't
would
work.
it wouldn't have went good.
It's
Yeah.
all
You know
the
what I mean?
chain reaction. You know, it's like you can put it on the mental side or the fundamental side of roping or any competition sport. So it's all chain reaction. So the way you leave the box, like for instance heading, the way you score dictates most of the time the rest of the run. The way you score, you run to the cow, you're positioned towards the cow, where your rope is, where your body is, how it sets the cow up, how it's got your horse moving, the way it sets it up for the healer, then you get faced. All that's what goes into a good run. The way the healer rides his position down the arena, where he has his rope, the power on his rope, the power from his body, all that. Get your horse in position. It's a chain of reactions from the time the gates bang.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so your mind is too, right? It's a chain reaction. So however you start your mind at the beginning of the day
Mhm.
has everything to do with how your day's going to go. And that's in life. I think we can all agree with
Mhm.
that. You wake up in a shitty mood,
The day
usually your
is
day,
shitty.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so what? We finished out a good day. Yeah, but 3/4 of your day was absolutely, pardon my
Yeah.
language, fucking ruined,
Yeah.
yeah.
right? I mean,
Because you made it that way.
yeah.
You don't
so-
have to make it that way.
You don't have to, and I've dealt, man, I got so many inner demons that way for no reason. It's disappointing to look back on myself and think about that. But the good thing about life is it doesn't matter what happened the last 28 years of my life. It doesn't matter what happened this morning. It starts right now,
Yeah.
and it's tomorrow, and that's all we can live for, to be
Yep.
better every day than we were the day before.
And it's a struggle.
It's a struggle every day. Everybody
Absolutely.
deals with it every day.
I gotta say this, Craig. How many of these have we done? 50. I don't know. However many we've done. We've done a lot of podcasts. You are the most positive person.
Yeah. You and Shay Hill and Brandon
You
are
and
one and
Shea
two.
Hillenbrand.
Yeah.
You know who Shea Hillenbrand is? Oh, you gotta look that dude up.
Yeah.
But he's a professional baseball player. But like just your you
Upbeat.
should you're upbeat. I mean, you literally do remind me a lot of Cesar.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's because you kind of looked up to him or whatever you said, but just me personally, I mean, maybe nobody else in the world would think this, but you have the attitude to win.
Well,
Yeah.
I think like what Cesar talks about, how it ate him alive inside. So he understands a lot of what I go through. I totally understand what he went through, and it's all, we can talk about it. We can work on it, but until we're in those positions and
Yeah.
have to put it to the works.
Yeah.
So that's why, it's kind of fun to discuss with you guys, because I haven't discussed it with a lot of people, because really I don't, it's all a competition too. So, you got guys out there you're competing against, not just to compete. I mean, this is to make a living. Everybody's putting their own money up. So you can't never let them get the upper hand on you. This is how your mind's got to work. Like this is
You're
what I'm
going
going
into
through.
a fight. You don't let somebody know your hands hurt.
No,
Yeah.
don't let these motherfuckers ever see
Yeah.
weakness.
Never see you sweat.
Fuck
As
no.
much as I like 'em.
I'll get pretty raw.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit verbal with the F word.
That's how we roll.
Don't let these motherfuckers
Yeah, I love it.
think they got the
Yeah,
upper
yeah.
hand, right?
Mhm.
You look them in the eye and you
It's like,
put
"Come on,
fear in
bitch."
these. You put
Mhm.
fear in these fuckers. And I've had a timid heart my whole life, and I don't want them.
Yeah.
From now on, I'm fucking for Trey Yates, and I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about anybody else.
You heard it here first, folks.
Show them with your horse and your rope. Come around.
That's
there
it.
and just lay that sucker down.
And if it don't work, don't think I ain't gonna show up tomorrow. But
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying that I got it figured out now. This is me.
Yeah.
This is a work in progress. Okay, and it every day it's got to be. If you ever, I mean, it's kind of like contentment. I can't say, oh, I got the mind game ready. I'm ready for 2024. No, if I was content with my mind game, it's like being content with your roping.
Yeah.
The minute you find content in life,
You're fucked.
you're
Yep.
fucked. Somebody's got the upper hand on you
Absolutely.
that fast.
I call this guy every morning. Every single morning I call him and just talk back and forth. And I mean, it's kind of how we get the day started. And both of us, like, yeah, we got businesses and shit goes wrong every day. But, what I like about talking to him is he's not negative. Like, you can be like, oh, this tractor blew a tire. This one broke down, whatever. It's like, fuck it, fix the tire. Let's go.
You got to get rolling.
Yeah.
Got to get it done.
gotta get
Burning
going.
daylight.
Well,
Never
and you know
stops.
that's so good that you guys have that relationship because I've worked on that too with my friends, and I've let my attitude a lot of times affect their days, and it's easy how you can reflect on
Oh yeah.
how you reflect, you know, and my dad's told me that a lot of times when I get mad and throw fits is it if nobody wants to be around me, it's affected. I mean, the hardest thing I ever went through growing up, and it happened 3 times minimum, maybe 5 maximum, somewhere between 3 and 5 times, is
Somewhere in there.
I'd get mad, and my grandpa, he'd never say a word. He'd leave the arena,
Oh.
and never. You talk about pain and
Yeah.
agony because he's told me this is a place of joy. We're gonna have fun here. And we're gonna work hard. We're gonna try to get better. Nobody's throwing no damn fits in there. Ain't no arguing goes on. I've seen him tell fathers and sons when they show up with their, well, this is what my kid needs. You know, this is what he's been doing, and then the kid goes over, the dad will, whatever the situation is. No. We're not gonna argue. And we're not gonna holler. There's no hollering in this arena.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So you talk about hurt when I mean your all time hero just walks out
Mm-hmm.
and you say, Grandpa, please don't leave,
Yeah.
and he smokes a cigar all the time. Well, when his ears get red and the end of that cigar lights up, you know he's mad, and I've made him mad,
Yeah.
and that's
Or-
the hardest thing I ever went through.
I relate big time. My grandpa's my hero. Like he's still alive and everything. But I could imagine like that's and never want to let your hero down like that. So I could imagine how that.
Yeah, and I wish my mind would have worked to learn more from it at the
Mhm.
time. You know, it was I let a lot of things and it's a generation that I'm not making an excuse for me, but it's the generation we're in. We got cell phones, so everything we want we can get instantly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want groceries, we can get on an app and we got groceries delivered to our house right now. We want food, we got Uber Eats, we got fast food, we got instant gratification on social media. Everything, right? Okay, so I was looking for the instant. Oh God, Grandpa's not mad at me. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking in the future.
Yeah.
How what I'm really affecting or could be, and all that goes back to perspective on life and what do we really want? You know, we're looking at the big picture of things. That's what I'm trying to do in my life.
That I mean, kind of off topic now, but that commercial you guys did at your house, it was you and Grandpa and your dad. You guys were opening that deal. Was that for Yeti or what was that for?
It was for Resistol.
Resistol. That was a pretty cool deal, man. That was really cool. How'd that come about? They just called you one day and said, "We're gonna do this."
Yeah, they wanted to do a clip and yeah, it was a fun day.
It looked cool. Like,
Was it harder to talk your dad into doing it or your grandpa?
My grandpa, he's just along for the ride. Whatever
sitting in the
anybody
chair
wants to do,
over there.
yeah.
He's
You know, the coolest part, I guess, of all of it that I didn't know was they did a segment on my grandmother, and we had no idea, and they didn't play it until after she passed away.
Oh, wow.
And it's actually
it's on YouTube, or where can you find it?
yeah, I actually have it on my phone. They released it on Facebook, I think,
Oh, okay.
when she passed away, kind of a memoir deal. But she just, talks about our family, and she said that at the end of it, she said, "I'm the proudest mother and grandmother there is," and it was just.
That's awesome.
She was.
It ended with she was sitting in a chair right outside the arena with her little dog in her robe, I think, watching us rope, and yeah, it was
Probably
neat.
brought her a lot of joy to watch you guys.
Yeah. She'd come out of the arena and spend about 5 minutes, see what's going on, and smoke a cigarette, and go back in the house and go to work and go do groceries. And she was a go getter. It was funny. I was staying in Texas down there at Jake Cooper's house. That's where I used to spend a lot of time when I stayed in Stephenville early in my career. And the 2 days before she passed, I was headed to Arlington to the Dallas Stadium, and she's like, "I got your shirts, I got your pants. Where do you want them mailed? You got this in the car, in the mail," and just going and blowing 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that's how she was until the minute her heart stopped. That's how she was, and it was fun.
You talked about maybe playing basketball growing up.
I didn't play, man. I was terrible, but I love the sport.
You love the sport. Okay.
I'm an NBA fan.
Yeah. Who's your team? Denver.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be.
yeah.
I'm a Suns fan. I'm an Arizona boy now,
Okay.
so I'm more of a players guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like team roping. It's a team sport, but it's an individual sport at the same time.
How do you
got
feel
your
about
favorites?
How do you feel about our big three? You think that was a mistake?
The Suns?
Yeah.
No,
You like them?
I do. I think that, you know, I look at Miami Heat back in the day. It took a couple years to get it lined out. I think anytime you can build a team around Kevin Durant,
Yeah, I think you're right.
you
I
know,
mean, at least for a couple more years.
he's a
getting up there.
matriarch.
Yeah.
He's a leader. You know, he's a Steph Curry. You look at like him, Steph Curry. That's something I don't like. I'm a big believer, especially after watching him live, in Luka's ability. But he looks like a hard guy to build a team around right now. He's a little early in his career, and you know, Kevin Durant, your Giannis's. You know, I used to think Damian Lillard, but they got some work to do. But you know, anytime you get a guy that wants to win and is willing to evolve and put in the work with who's around him and what's going on, not just jump ship right away. Right? It's like team roping.
You gotta
give him a chance.
Exactly.
Got to try to build the team together. There's like I said, T Wade and Thorpe. They got a kind of a camaraderie right there, especially right there when they both made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to stick together.
What did they go into the finals? Do you remember what they were?
Did
T Wade was
go in leading?
No, second, and Thorpe was season leader.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Figures was
okay.
second, and junior. No, he was first, and junior was second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What you Kobe?
Yeah, I'm a Mamba.
Oh
mentality
yeah.
believer.
Mama mentality. That's kind of how his mentality is right now.
Well, give us your top three.
All time?
Yeah, all time.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, Michael Jordan. I never saw him play.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just nothing like him. You know, my dad talks. I mean, it's got to be Larry Bird. Probably. I mean, he's got. You can't rank three. It's a 10. It's a top 10
for sure.
You know, then there's guys like Pistol Pete Maravich back in the day you hear
Yeah,
about that was shooting threes before the 3-point line. So
That's true.
your Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's. I mean, but you know, I finally admitted it the other day, and to do what he does at his age, LeBron James is an absolute animal.
I'll give him all his flowers, all his respect, but man, you got to stand for the national anthem.
Oh, I'm with you. Trust me. I'm a Joker fan, and I love Denver. Okay, and I went and watched him play the other day. He didn't sit, but what about the time they said Osei does that Star Spangle?
Turned around, he's running.
Walked off.
I've seen it so much. I mean, just like God, LeBron. Like he came in with the hype and kept it his whole career. You know, that's respectable. Like, don't get me wrong, he's great, but man, come on, he's at UCLA or USC where his kid goes. I've seen that deal. Don't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, just sit or the national anthem. Sit there, man.
He can go overseas and play. I'm sure.
He can do a lot of things.
If
I'll give him a couple.
You got to thank
don't
America for
like-
what they do.
Yeah, come on, man.
I've traveled around America's
But
pretty
how many little kids are watching that?
Yeah,
That's it. That's a lot like, and it goes back to, you know,
Coil your rope up.
call your rope up
Yeah.
right out. Like, Cesar,
Yeah.
you know, throwing your rope in the stands. It's you don't know who you're impacting at any point in your life.
yeah.
You know, and like the instant. I mean, we're talking about a guy. If you want to put up stats, the Joker. I mean, he averaged a triple double.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but then I lose all my respect for him, and
Because of that moment.
and it's like, come on, guy, like
I know.
go back to Serbia.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm with
How's
you.
it going over there?
Yeah.
Right? And but you know, okay, so back to the deal. I mean, Kyrie Irving. I mean, I don't know who's
Unbelievable.
ever handled a ball
No,
like
I was
him.
gonna say, handles unbelievable.
Oh, what?
Man.
But Kobe's in my top three. MJ,
Yeah.
and then I mean it. I guess LeBron, but
Yeah.
you know,
They don't. LeBron has no mentality as the first two. You said. I mean, like the step on your throat when you're down. You have to have that to be great. And I feel like LeBron just doesn't have that. Like that's the only part
well,
of
I
his
think
game.
he did
I think he did in the
20
beginning,
years
but,
ago. You know,
You know, I've seen too many games where he gets so much in his feelings and then starts throwing fits. It doesn't want to. Like there's that one game he didn't score. Like just
that's
stupid
what
shit.
that's what I see in Luka a little bit is like,
Prima donna
yeah. I mean, Steph Curry's a top 10 player.
for sure.
I mean, it's top 5.
For
Who's
sure.
to say?
Yeah.
You know, we can sit here and you know, I used to, when I was a kid starting to rope all the time is I'd ask my dad, like I'd Hork Dog was the thing to get, right? 2006, 2007, you get the Hork Dog tapes and I mean, got the music and that's the thing, you know, and it's funny, like Porter is 16 years old. He don't even know what the Hork Dog is.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
I mean-
Well, one, there's no DVD players anymore, you know, so I would watch those tapes, and that's where I got my education on ropers. Really, I never had no NFR tapes. I'd watch the NFR, And honestly, sometimes I wouldn't because we didn't have DVR, and then it didn't come on till like midnight
Yeah.
back in the day.
I say it all the time.
And so I didn't. I mean, I promise you, I would be in bed in 30 minutes from now if I was home.
Mhm.
I mean, I never can make it very late.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's where I got my education on roping. Was I'd get some George Strait tapes
Mhm.
and because at that point in time there wasn't a lot of rodeo guys coming by our place. You
Yeah.
know, my dad was obviously retired from the game and was horse showing and stuff. And but anyhow, so that's where I'd ask him, oh, what about this guy? Does he rope good? Does he
Mhm.
rope good? And I'm sure it just drove him nuts. But and then I'd say, well, who ropes better, so and so or so
Yeah.
and so? And he'd say, man, you can't compare ropers.
No.
All the time. That's what he always said. You can't compare ropers, and it's true. I mean, how many times you hear, well, who's the best? Rich Skelton or Clay Bryant? Well, two different ropers. I mean, depends what you're.
What are you looking
Rich
at?
Skelton on Roney and Clay Cooper on Ike. You know what I mean? Those guys never fucking missed. They 2 feet every time. So how are you gonna? That's splitting hairs, dude.
Yeah, and then you got Jay Corkill is in the conversation. Now I put Wesley Thorpe. I mean,
Mhm.
the list goes on and on. Well, then there's so and so. He never want to go, but Carl Malone never
Yeah.
want to.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah, they
Corey
never.
Kuntz in our game. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Won everything there is to win, but never got a gold buckle.
Yeah.
Craig, like, how do I do? First time we described Cesar to him, I was like, he's like the Charles Barkley. That's how I put him.
But
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, I think Austin Reeves might be the best guard in the league.
He might be if he's stud. Well, I like that Edwards from Minnesota.
Edwards
That's
is
You guys
banger.
don't like Steph Curry or what?
Oh, I'm a
Man,
Steph
oh,
Curry
yeah.
fan. I mean,
They put him top 5.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all time.
He's okay. But no, I think Edwards from Minnesota is a stud. I like
Damian, dude. I mean,
Oh.
I've seen Damian put up. I mean, I watched him put up 45 points live.
Yeah.
Put him in double overtime in the playoffs against the Nuggets. So
Yeah.
we're talking stellar performance.
Donovan Mitchell. He's a
Donovan
stud.
Mitchell's a stallion.
Man, Brunson in New York.
But what I
unless
like
he's
about
off.
Austin Reeves is I've watched the Lakers more this year for some reason than, actually my dad and I, he's a huge fan, so we talk all the time. Like it's funny, I'll talk to him a dozen times a day, and a lot of times 3 conversations are about basketball.
That's cool.
But he hasn't, for some reason, he hasn't got to watch the Lakers play much, and I'm like, dude, this Austin Reeves, man, he's something else.
He's the truth. He always says, "I'm him. I'm him."
He's focused, and you can what I appreciate any more in the game, and I see what you're saying about LeBron. Now that I think about it, I like to watch the guys who play for the absolute love of the game, because that's why we rope, okay, and we love to compete. Giannis he wants to win. The Joker, I will say, aside of his political whatever beliefs, that dude he's thinking about one thing.
Yeah.
And it's winning. Steph Curry wants to win. They got the eye of the tiger. They got
Yes.
they got that dog in them.
Yes, sir.
Whatever
Big
it
time.
takes, man.
Yeah. Fights. Joel Embiid, dude. He's
Oh.
got that dog in him.
I went to New York and I went to a Nets game and watched Cam Johnson and Bridges play, and they were playing against Embiid was there, and that dude is a man. Like, he's 8 foot tall. I don't know. He's
So how do you feel about that trade?
I hate it. Bridges,
Cam Johnson,
and
Michael.
Mikal Bridges. I think that we could have it'll take a little longer, of course, but like you said, everybody wants that instant satisfaction. Let's get KD here. You know what I mean? Whatever. We got KD, and then I just don't like Beal. Just a mixture. It's too much ISO basketball. There's too much of it. You got to have, especially the playoffs. Playoffs going to determine everything.
Right.
That's when the ball slows down. Plays come into effect, and I think that you can't play ISO basketball. And on top of that, no defense.
No, you're right.
That's the worst 3 players of defense in the history of Big 3.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I think it all comes down to grit. Denver's proof.
they're a team.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon's tough. The Joker's tough. Your MPJs.
Murray.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray, and my dad was not a Jamal Murray fan for a while, and he proved him wrong in the playoffs last year. He showed up and he showed out,
The truth.
and they're a team though. They got that mixture. Well, when it comes down to it, when the dust settles, those are the guys you can't count out.
You mess with one, you mess with the whole pack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got you got all the dogs.
Yeah.
And I like a young team like Sacramento.
Mm.
That Fox is he's averaging 30 a game and
Real deal.
his 12 assists, and it's like that. That watching Luka play live, that's what I was impressed with the other day. Is he controls the whole court,
Yeah.
and he'll look one way and do a cross court pass to
He's going.
yes, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
The athleticism in a guy that doesn't look athletic,
Not at all.
and how he can shoot.
That's what they see me when I come in.
was just
Watch
thinking
out. Put me on the court and I'm in trouble.
They see you dunk.
fuck around, got triple double.
That's right. That's right.
All right, man. Well, we're definitely gonna have you back for a second.
Yeah, we'll have to have the sports talk.
Well, you'll have to come to the sports desk.
Yeah.
So, all right, man.
Well, we
thank
appreciate
thank
you coming on, and it's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Trey, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, buddy.
It's been awesome.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.